Go.
Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's show. We will be presenting how to have an award-winning social presence. I am your host, Leila Ramos, and behind me are our presenters for tonight.
I'm Alan Ramos.
Pamela Fomachek.
Stephanie Vargas.
Sandra Spacek.
Elianis Perez.
Now, we will show you guys how to polish your social skills and win over your peers and colleagues by appearing more friendlier than your usual, and which we can shorten it to this title so it's not that long, but how to have an award-winning social presence. So we will do so by presenting 5 categories through various comedic characters and television, because what's the only cure for a social or for an awkward situation, right? Comedy. We will show you guys what actions are Emmy award-winning actions and which actions are Razzie award-winning actions. So with show of hands, are you guys familiar with what an Emmy award is? Yes? Awesome. So an Emmy award is an award that honors great performances in television, so that may be actors, producers, sound, anything like that. And are you guys familiar with what a Razzie award is? Sort of? Okay, so not everybody is familiar with it. But the Razzie award is pretty much the opposite. So they honor the worst performances in television or in movies. And to show you guys, pay attention to what actions are Emmy award winning. So whether it is what Emmy award winning actions will take place in how to build a relationship, welcome opinions, being transparent with your activities, opening up to new opportunities, and showing authentic appreciation. And also, please pay close attention to what actions are classified as Razzie award-winning actions. And now, please help me welcome our first presenter for tonight, Stephanie, to the stage, who will be showing us how to build relationships.
I will be showing the first one as building relationships. Why is it so important to build a relationship? We can improve by improving our small talk. Sorry. So I wanted to start out with a personal story right off the bat. So at my job, we have a big client event for client appreciation, and all of our top clients are there. My very first year, I had only been there 2 weeks. And I show up with my date, and I find a corner table, and I'm just with my date, and I'm just talking. And my boss is like, "You need to get up and work the room." And I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea what to do. So I got up and I'm wandering around. I'm like, hi, it was so awkward. And as soon as I got a free moment, I just bolted. And it was horrible. Anyways, so I wanted to say why this is important. It's important because we generally meet probably 80 to 100,000 people in our lifetime. And what can we do to build on that? We can build on it by initiating conversation. It's our special way to connect with people. Effective ways help us to efficiently network in people in our industry or in our lives. We appear more intelligent when we take control of conversation, and we're exposed to different personalities, and we can definitely learn from them. Communication is extremely important in building relationships. So I wanted to show a video, and we'll take a look at what we think about this video. Has anybody seen Parks and Recreations? So the person I picked is Ron Swanson. He's infamous for not being a people person. So we'll watch it, and then we'll take a look at what he does wrong, especially when he's interacting with people.
Ron, I don't want to step on your toes, but I think maybe I should take point on this Venezuelan visit.
Great.
Because the main guy, Raul, he's a deputy director and I'm deputy director. So diplomatic protocol suggests that I be the official representative.
Knock yourself out.
You can still meet them. I bet they'd be thrilled to meet the head of the department.
Not interested. Don't like socialists.
I'm a libertarian, so I hate government. In Venezuela, you need government approval if you want to change your brand of toothpaste. Only you can't even do that because there's only one kind in the store, government brand tooth powder. And it doesn't get your teeth clean, and it tastes like crap.
This is the true boss? Man, this rightly belongs to you. Heaven.
Okay. Thank you, gents. Feliz Navidad.
So what did we notice about Ron's interactions?
Not interested.
Yeah. The first thing, when I watched the whole video, the first thing that I noticed was the politics and the government, and then he made his opinion very, I guess, obvious, I guess is the reason. So one thing that we never want to do is we never want to talk about religion or politics. Politics and religion are very touchy subjects, and whenever you bring them up, especially in professional settings, people tend to get emotional and disagree, and that's never the impression that you want to make. You never want to interrupt a person when they're speaking. It's rude, and it makes them feel like their input is not heard. And another thing that I noticed was his no. So whenever she's talking to him, he just has his back to her, and it's just a quick yes or no. It's mainly no. You never want to be yes or no. You never want to weaken the conversation by just quick yes or no's. You want to have open-ended questions. So what are Emmy Award tips? Asking energizing questions. You always want to be prepared for social events and set the tone for open-ending and stimulating questions that are personal but not too invasive. Thoughtful questions warm people up to talk about themselves and to share things. So instead of asking, what do you do for a living? We're going to ask, well, how did you end up in your field, or what do you love the most about the industry that you're in? You also want to have fallback questions. Fallback questions are good when you're having a conversation and you can tell that they don't really want to talk to you about it, or they're just kind of sensitive, or they may not even know what you're talking about. You always want to have questions or topics to bring up after, if you realize that your conversation isn't going very well. And lastly, we'll want to demonstrate genuine interest. And this is mainly just showing the person that you're interested in them. It would be like good body language, open body language, even facing them, and having good eye contact and just letting them know that you care about what they have to say. So now I'm going to pass it on to Pam, who's going to tell us how to be welcome opinions.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, have you guys heard the saying, opinions are like noses, everyone has one? Maybe you've heard a different version that wouldn't be appropriate to open up your speech with. I'm sure you're thinking of it. Okay, through learning and experience, we form opinions and tend to gravitate towards those who share similar opinions. Think about your closest group of friends, those you're closest to. They probably share similar opinions or ideas as you, live a similar lifestyle. We tend to find comfort in knowing others feel or think the same way we do, and we align ourselves with these people. However, at some point, we'll face situations where we encounter differing or opposing opinions to ours. Why is it important to be open to opinions? By opening ourselves up to opinions, we create opportunities for learning, we discover new perspectives, and it also promotes better understanding of each other and of the topic. As someone with tattoos and piercings, most of you may not even know because I come here straight after work and I'm usually pretty covered up. I've heard opinions from family, friends, those that you would expect, but also from strangers. It's crazy how many people feel like they need to tell you that you would look better without tattoos, or that nose piercing is just a little bit distracting when I talk to you. And this is a decision that I've made for myself. So at first, when I got my first tattoo, when I first got my nose piercing, it would kind of offend me, or I would get my feelings hurt. Why does this person feel like they can make a comment about something that I chose to do for myself? So now, instead of trying to convince them why I think it's a good idea or why I chose to do it, I just smile, steer the conversation, and move on. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. We've all heard that. And so by letting them know that we heard their opinion and then moving on and just giving them their time and acknowledging them, that's enough. You don't have to engage if you feel uncomfortable. Okay, so for my comedy character, I chose Karen from the sitcom Will and Grace. Those who aren't familiar with Karen, she is outspoken, she's spoiled, she's full of opinions, and she will let everybody know what her opinions are. She's borderline alcoholic, depending who you ask. And she can dish out her opinions and just hand them out, but when it comes to receiving opinions of others, she's not very good. you know, at digesting it, or even really hearing it. So in the next clip, I want you guys to pay attention to her attitude and how she's speaking, and how she starts the conversation, and then also how she ends.
Do you ever think about giving up? You know, just ending it all.
Funny you should ask. Tonight's the anniversary of the fire that killed my identical twin, and I've never felt more alone.
Right, so this is a recurring theme for Karen and Smitty. Poor Smitty's just a good sport and he keeps sharing. Karen just keeps laughing, and that's kind of their relationship. But there's no way to create constructive conversation from this. It pretty much just ends there. And the next encounter, it'll kind of do the same thing. She gets him to open up to her. He feels like he's invited to conversation. He tells her something deep and meaningful and wants to share something personal. And she just laughs it off and orders another drink. Right? Maybe you've met someone like that. So let's talk about the Razzie Award-winning actions. Don't dismiss the opinions of others because you don't agree with them. Your point doesn't become any more valid by dismissing differing or opposing opinions. Instead, consider these to be opportunities for learning. Don't expect to change the opinions of others. It's acceptable to be passionate about your views and share your opinions. However, in sharing your opinions, if you see, you know, through body language or kind of the way that the conversation is going, if you see that you're not going to change someone's opinion on something, steer the conversation away. There's no need to continually try to tell someone your opinion, and you shouldn't expect someone to abandon their views and adopt yours. And finally, don't be afraid to ask questions. As I stated earlier, use this as an opportunity to share ideas and opinions and learn from each other. Learn why they think the way that they do, why they feel the way that they do, and why they believe what they do, and how they form their own opinions. A lot of the times you'll find that people just formulate opinions based on what someone that's close to them or someone they look up to feels about a certain topic, and they really don't have their own opinion on it. They just kind of regurgitate what somebody else has told them, and they've adopted it as their own. Don't be intrusive, but if someone is willing to share with you, you should be open to listening. Sometimes the best way to gain a better understanding is just to ask a lot of questions. Okay, and now on to the Emmy Award-winning behavior. Active listening. Some of you may have heard of this in other business communication courses. It's important to concentrate on what you're listening to and understand what's being said in order to respond and have constructive conversation. You can't respond constructively or even at all if you don't remember what is being said or what's being discussed. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and you're listening at the beginning and then it just kind of drags on in the end, you're just like, oh, what? You don't know what they said, right? But you're trying to respond. You're trying to be nice. Wow, I can't believe they said that. Wow. You know, and then it just kind of trails off because then they can't respond. You didn't really give them anything to respond to. They can keep blabbering, but you've already missed the whole conversation. This communication technique involves listening with your senses. Alex mentioned the tool of nonverbal communication, and then Shelley just spoke about body movement. And these are all part of active listening. When you hear differing or opposing opinions, pay close attention to your inner dialogue. Sometimes people will push a button that you didn't even know you had. There are more vulnerable subjects that people don't want to discuss, and maybe you reacted strongly when they mentioned it. So pay attention to these behaviors, how you react internally. Take some deep breaths, calm your nerves, and if you choose to respond, wait until you're calm. You don't want to keep escalating because the person may not know that this is a hot topic for you. So they may just misunderstand why you're reacting so strongly. So if that happens, just kind of steer the conversation if a subject is particularly difficult for you. 8 years ago, my sister was diagnosed with schizophrenia. A lot of people are not familiar with mental health at all. And so, since then, I've heard a lot of opinions, but I also understand that people don't deal with mental health on a day-to-day basis. And so I kind of keep that in mind, and that's also what you should do with people that share their opinions with you. You kind of want to understand where it's coming from, because some people may just have no idea. And it's okay to correct them, it's okay to steer the conversation, but you have some control in the conversation either way. Okay, and avoid closing yourself off. If you hear an opinion you don't agree with, listen and try to gain a better understanding for why they feel the way that they do. Maybe you can share ideas and help each other understand each other's views or opposing views. Even if you don't change opinions in the end, you'll at least gain a better understanding by conversing rather than just ending the conversation or closing yourself completely off and not being open-minded to other views. So now we'll move on to the activity. You should each have a page that looks like this in front of you. It's called the Active Listening Self-Assessment. Everybody found it? Okay. So I want you guys to take the next 3 minutes, assess your own active listening skills, and discuss with your teammates for areas of improvement and how you plan to improve. There are checkboxes next to each phrase or question, and I want you to think about maybe your most recent conversation or maybe a conversation that sticks out to you or your daily conversations, and respond with that in mind. At the end, it asks you to sum up your columns and come up to a grand total. And at the very bottom, I want you to write down your ideas in the space for how you plan to strengthen your active listening skills. Got about 30 seconds. Alright, so some of you may have noticed as you were completing the form, a lot of the questions are not about how you verbally communicate, but it also incorporates body language, whether or not you're interrupting the speaker. If you're already planning how you're going to respond while someone is speaking to you, these are all parts of how to be a better active listener. So now that you've all taken this and summed up your total, you can see if you're a good active listener, you are an active listener, or if you need to focus on improving your listening skills. You can now use this as your baseline to know what areas you need to improve to help you become a better active listener in order to be able to communicate better. I'll now pass it on to Sandra, who is going to discuss being transparent about your abilities.
Thank you, Pam. So before I present you my category of how to be transparent with your abilities, I want to share my personal story with you. So I moved to the United States 5 years ago, and I was a foreign exchange student from Eastern Europe. So my greatest weakness was how to communicate in English. I was thinking people are going to judge my English skill, nobody's going to understand me, everybody's going to say I have a heavy accent. So I just chose not to have friends from the United States. I was only hanging out with international people. I didn't want to talk to anybody, so everyone at UT Dallas thought I was rude. But the point was, I was just insecure about my English skills. You're probably wondering, why is that important to be transparent about your abilities? Here are the main three reasons why you should be open about your weaknesses. The first one is, you're going to establish trust with people. Just imagine when we all find a job after graduating, your employer will expect you to be honest with him. Your employer can help you improve your weaknesses and help you move forward. When you're open about your weaknesses and about your abilities, you're going to build your confidence. Let's refer back to the last week presentation and group number 2 when they had amazing performance here, and when they explain you how you should turn your negative thoughts into the positive one. A positive mindset will increase your level of confidence. Lastly, once you share your weaknesses, you're going to be given opportunity to grow. Your employer will show you what you have to work on, and you can move forward after that. So the character that I choose for my part is Ted Mosby. Is anyone familiar with Ted? Most of you guys? So Ted Mosby is the main character from the TV show How I Met Your Mother, where he tells to his children the long version of how he met their mother. So How I Met Your Mother TV show won 10 Emmy Awards and was nominated 30 times. So in the TV show, Ted Mosby is an architect who is very kind, passionate, but he's a little dorky. So he's in constant search for his soulmate. He really wants to get married, but he gets too serious too soon, and he just scares women off. So we're about to watch the video now, and in this video, Ted Mosby says to his date, Robin, that he's done being single, that he's tired, and I want you to pay attention how he's open about the weakness.
I'm done being single. I'm not good at it. Look, obviously, you can't tell a woman you just met you love her. But it sucks that you can't. I'll tell you something, though. If a woman, not you, just some hypothetical woman, were to bear with me through all this, I think I'd make a damn good husband. Because that's the stuff I'd be good at. Stuff like making her laugh and being a good father. And walking her 5 hypothetical dogs. Being a good kisser.
Everyone thinks they're a good kisser.
Oh, I've got references.
Good night, Ted.
And I'm a good handshaker.
Ted's a pretty great handshake.
So the purpose of the video is never say you love a girl on a first date. Of course not. The main purpose of the video is that you were able to see how Ted turns his weakness into the opportunities. Instead of saying what he's bad at, he was telling Robin what he's good at. He said that he can be a good father, he can walk her dogs, he's a good handshaker. That's why we have 3 award steps that you shouldn't follow. The first one, never deny that you have an ability. Because a weakness is nothing that we should be ashamed of. The second one, never avoid talking about the weakness. Because if you avoid talking about your weaknesses and missings, you're never gonna overcome it. And the last one, once you recognize that you have some missings, Don't isolate yourself socially and not be able to talk to others. Therefore, we have 3 MU-word steps. The first one, just accept the inability. So acknowledging that you have a weakness doesn't mean you already accept it and you're going to stay with that for the rest of your life. That just means that you found something you have to work and improve on. The second one is talk about the weakness. Just select one weakness that you think is the most important right now to work on and share with others. In accordance to jobbio.com, the scientists from University College London, they monitored 2,000 people and find out that people who were open about their weaknesses on job interview had a positive outcome. And the last one is connect with people. If you don't believe in yourself and you think you're not able to overcome your weakness, other people will. Maybe people on your workplace, maybe your teammates, but they will help you to improve on. And now if you guys remember the story that I told you when I moved here, that I was insecure, how I overcame my weakness is by just accepting that I'm going to be always different, I'm always going to have an accent, people are always going to wonder where I'm from. But I found out that that's an interesting topic to talk about, and I found out that people enjoy to listen about my culture. So now I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Alan. He's going to present our next category, to be open for new opportunities.
Thank you, Sandra. So tonight I want to talk to you all about being open to new opportunities. But before I do that, let me share a brief story to you guys about when I started an internship. It was in 2016. I started this internship. I've only taken 2 accounting courses, Introduction to Financial Accounting and Introduction to Cost Accounting. I go into this internship thinking that I'll be okay because I've taken these courses. But what I was not expecting from this internship was the environment, the fact that it's completely different than what we learn here at school. And so at that moment, I was unsure about myself and unsure whether or not I wanted to do accounting. I made a lot of mistakes, and I didn't know what to do. But thinking about it now, I'm still an accountant, by the way. But thinking about it now, back then, had I known the importance of being open to new opportunities, I think I would have taken this internship, or at least the beginning part of the internship, a little more serious, or with a little more depth in mind to it, So let me explain to you guys why you should be open to those new opportunities. So being open to opportunities allows you to boost your expertise, or just build upon what you already know. For example, when you're working in a company in an accounting department, you'll be there for years if you're an accounting major. But what happens when you get moved to a department, or you want to shift things around because you want more opportunities? Like maybe you want to move to the marketing department to learn more about marketing. That brings more to not only to your resume, but to your experience. And so therefore in the future, you're opening yourself up to doors for new opportunities. Second is moving on from failures. Since you are open to the new opportunities, then that means you're not going to dwell on those failures. What I mean is, based on my story, for example, I committed a lot of mistakes, but I think the turnaround point was whenever I started learning from those mistakes. Because I've learned from those mistakes in the past, my boss he gave me a raise. I started doing better, and he gave me a raise, and that was a whole new opportunity for me. He wanted to teach me and mold me into a better accountant or a better consultant. So moving on from failures, not dwelling from them, will definitely boost the doors open for new opportunities. Another one is to achieve your career goals. So your career goals always go through many changes. Therefore, being open to new possibilities will allow you to help mold you for these changes, and it'll facilitate your way to your career achievements. Now, before I move on, I want to tell you guys that I've picked a character from an original Netflix series. The show is called Master of None. How many of you guys have heard of that show? Okay, so the character that I chose was the main character. His name is Dev Saw, And the reason I chose that character is because I felt that he had a bunch of opportunities throughout, at least what I've seen through the show. You know, I'm going to show you this video, and what I want you guys to pay attention to is what he reads and what the, I guess, the conflict that he has at the moment.
I saw life branching out before me, like the green fig tree in the story. From the tip of every branch, like a fat purple fig, a wonderful future beckoned and waited. One fig was a husband and a happy home and children. And another fig was a famous poet. And another fig was a brilliant professor. And another fig was Europe and Africa and South America. And another fig was Constantine and Socrates and Attila and a pack of other lovers with queer names and offbeat professions. And beyond and above these figs were many more figs I couldn't quite make out. I saw myself sitting in the crotch of this fig tree, starving to death, just because I couldn't make up my mind which of the figs I would choose. I wanted each and every one of them, but choosing one meant losing all the rest. And as I sat there, unable to decide, the figs began to wrinkle and go black. One by one, they plopped to the ground at my feet.
So from the video, let me give you a little bit of backstory to that. At this point in the series, Dev, he's come to a conclusion to explore new opportunities. This was his drive, though. This book that he read, he was in a struggle. Should he stay in his current city, New York City, to be with his friends, to be with his family, with other relationships that he had, or will he choose to move on, learn new things, and go elsewhere for those new opportunities? The fig represented in the video is what I understood was the multiple opportunities that we get, and us standing there not doing anything about it is like just watching the opportunities go away and staying out. So what I want to do now is present to you guys ways you can earn a Razzie Award. So hope you're excited for that. So the ways you can earn a Razzie Award is to restrict your expertise or restrict what you already know. Close the doors to opportunities. Who cares? Don't move on. The next one was dwell on your failures, ponder them, but don't learn anything from them. Engage in procrastination. As I mentioned, the fig trees. Take your time. You'll start seeing the figs fall down, and the opportunities, you'll be missing a lot of opportunities. So next is the Emmy Award-winning acts, which are expand your expertise, build on the things you already know. As my early example, move on to a different department if you have the choice. If it leads you to a new opportunity, take that initiative to do that. Learn from your failures. As I learned from my mistakes in my internship, do the same. Take your failures, ponder on them, and learn from them, and that will help you open new opportunities. And I already mentioned it, but take initiative. Don't wait for the right time. Do it when it's presented to you now. But now I want to go ahead and move forward and welcome Ilianis, who will talk about show authentic appreciation.
Thank you, Alan. I want to introduce you today to Sheldon. I want to show you who is Sheldon and why is he important to showing authentic appreciation, and how can you learn to improve your business communication through his actions. First of all, who is familiar with Sheldon? I think a lot of people watch The Big Bang Theory, where Sheldon is a senior physicist at Caltech University, and he roommates with his best friend and colleague, Leonard. Sheldon is very smart. He has a genius IQ level. I'm very jealous. But as all of us, he has downsides to his personality. He lacks social skills big time. He lacks empathy.